Right now we're going to look at drawing this pear still life and adding value to it using pencil or pen. But I want to show you how to go about drawing this. I'm not necessarily going to show you how to shade it right now, because that's kind of up to you. We will look at it a little bit maybe. So I've got some paper here and I've got a pencil, and I'm going to use this as a reference. You might be using it as a reference from your computer. If you were in class in person, I would hand you a copy of this because I always think that's better. So if you'll look at this, there's three pears and they're on a table or a surface, and there's a background, there's a table, there's a reflection. So what I want to turn my paper horizontally, and that's how I've got it down here because it's a horizontal subject, or I think it's called landscape when you're doing photography. I'm going to start with that middle one. A lot of people have a tendency to draw this really small, but I want you to keep it kind of large. And so I'm going to draw the pears first and then worry about the other stuff. So what I'm doing is just breaking that down into a circle. And then this part here, maybe I can approach it a number of ways, but I'm going to do like that. I'm going to draw it light till you get it right. And truthfully, that probably is not as slanted as I've got it, so I'm going to tweak it a little bit here, pull it up straighter, and get that. Maybe this ball is a little bit larger than what I've got it, but something like that. Okay. Now I'll go back in and erase this with the big eraser in a minute. I'm going to go ahead. I'm not worried about the stem right now. I'll come back to that. There's another pear here. If you look at your image closely, it kind of looks like this pear is sitting just a hair over top of that one. And if you look at the placement of it, it looks like that one might be just a hair lower. So this one's up here. Lower, not really, because they're sitting on the same surface, but visually seems just a hair lower. I'm not going to make it much lower, if any. So that pear base or ball looks wider than that. For just guessing at it, it's probably about the same. So, and that's what I was, but it's not as tall. So that's I guess the catch-22 or whatever. So here's a circle. I like drawing pears by starting out with circles, and then this one has this little. It's not as tall as that one. See, I've got that one already pretty. I'm going to go back in there and shorten that a little bit, make him a little more squatty maybe. See, you're going to have to do this your way, and I'll do it mine, but the main thing is you're practicing. This one actually could be a little taller now that I'm maybe. That's the good thing about using pencil to sketch with. And this one actually is a little skinnier than what I've got it, so maybe it like this. It doesn't have to be perfect, just a guideline. Now I'm going to go over here and I'm going to worry about this third pear. If you look at this one, it's a ball again, and it's how this one's kind of leaning to the right, this one's kind of leaning to the left, that one's straight up and down. But our placement here, if we look at where that is compared to that, looks like it's almost a straight line. And it's overlapping that one. Looks like someone's drawn on this one, maybe tracing, and I do not want you to trace. I know that a lot of people say tracing. If you are kindergarten and you're learning how to make letters or preschool, then I would condone tracing. But I think nothing really helps you like the art of looking, seeing, and practicing trying. All right, so now this top part, we could go just like that. I like keeping it kind of like now it's not as tall as that one, so that one's, I'm going to come down a little bit. I'm going to overlap it. I'm going to work on, that one's quite pointed, quite pointy. All right. Now here is my basic pears. I'm going to go in. I'm going to take a bigger eraser now, clean up this edge. Clean this up. Now that, nothing wrong in how you go about doing yours if you don't do all those circles or whatever. I just think that it's easier for me. And so I think it's a good guideline. I'm also looking back at this one real quick just to make sure I don't erase the wrong lines, because I've done that before. So that one sits kind of in front of that one. So now, yeah, these all need a little bit of work. I'm not going to fib to you at all. So I'm going to go in here and do these stems real quick. That one needs... I might work on one pair. So this stem, it's kind of got a little bit of bump there, a little bit of... Now I've drawn these using pencil, and then I've added shadow using pen, added shadow using charcoal. These are, I think, just, it's a good white, good black, light and dark value study. So now I've got that a little thick, to be honest with you, but I wanted you to see that. This one too. In reality, you go back in there and you add some. So think about that line first, and then come in here, make it thicker. So there's kind of where our stems go, but let's go ahead and get the layout for our image here. So there's our pears. Then we've got a table that kind of, or the edge or something. So if you look at this, looks like it's like right here. You can't see it here or here. See that? It's still table. And then if what I like to do a lot of times is just line up. So a ruler or a pencil, something horizontal. This is going to be the other edge over here. And so now I know a little bit. Now let's look at these reflections real quick, because I want to put, we got a shadow down there too. That's the whole reason we're doing this. Look at where this cast shadow begins. It's right in that pear almost. So that pear looks like it's or that reflection looks like it's coming out. This reflection looks like it's coming. This one looks like it's like maybe here. And then this reflection is more down here. We've not worried about that shadow yet, and this reflection is here. And here. Now the shadow part here, I'm going to go in there. Everything is subject to change, and I'm just doing these lines as guidelines, guys. I will probably erase some of this. I may not, but the guidelines. So there is the general drawing. Now, for the sake of time, let me go ahead and say that I'm working on this pear. It's in the center, right? If you're using pencil to shade this one and you're right-handed, I would start over here and go this direction. Mainly because you're going to be laying your hand on there. There's a way you can put a piece of paper under your hand, and you can work here and then go over there. But so that's just one technique. This one, if you're using pencil, so this part's going to be light, dark. As I said in some previous videos, let me do this one because it's out of the way. So I'm going to go in here and I'm going to add shadow first. The reason I'm asking you to use pencil right now or pen is to get used to the medium. All right, the medium, how to use it. So this is dark here. It may be just the color of the pear, like the local color. Because pears have color, right? Sometimes they're red, sometimes they're green, yellow, maybe bruised, maybe mellow-like. So I'm laying this in. I'm going to get my stump. If you don't have a stump, a piece of paper, newspaper, piece of toilet paper, something rolled up, or your finger. I just prefer, okay. So now, you see what I'm doing here? I'm just blending that in. I've got to clean this up a little bit. A lot of noise in the hallway out here today. So I'm going to go back in. I'm not worried about that reflective shadow yet. And notice I'm not going over all that again because I want some parts dark. On some parts I want light. All right. Down here underneath, it's the part of the reason we're doing this, and I ask you to do it, is to get used to looking to where you see light and dark. I'm going to put a few hatching marks there. Because really, and I'm not worried about that stem right now. We'll go back over this. A really cool thing is, see, I can take some of that and just pull it over there. Now there will be you can find this image online if you're looking for it. Type in 3 Pear's drawing. So now I'm going to go in here and I'm going to worry about this stem, okay? If we look closely at that stem, you can kind of see an outline there. Purposely pushing dark right there. And then there's a shadow underneath it. I'm not worried about my background right now. Don't worry about that background to the end, okay? I'm going to go back over this one more time. See the shadow? Here's that pear blocking it, so it's kind of a dark shadow. Alrighty. Just more precise in my shading, in that I'm using a point instead of the side. Now this shadow kind of looks like it comes up. Let's go down here. I wish I would work on the whole thing, but I just don't have time. I don't want to kill you all and make you watch my whole video. So don't see any any reflected light there, do you? So we're drawing it like we see it now. Right here I see some reflected light. We're going to put some shadow through there. I'm going to put draw, shade what you see. And that's why I like having a reference, something to look at. I'm going to come back with a stump in a minute. I'm just laying in some shadow. That stump has some dark on it, but it's not the magic. The pencil's the magic. See, this side it's light. So I'm going to take this side, I'm going to just blend it. We talked about in a previous video how to clean those stumps if you need to. The really cool thing is that you can, now, you won't be getting finished the first time with this. You may have to go back over it, or you won't get finished the very first time you touch it, I don't believe. You may have to go back over it, make some parts darker. So that's what I'm doing right there. So now this pear actually is not finished, but it's going to be finished enough. So what I would do, let's go ahead and say that I've worked on the rest of it. I'm going to go in here and I'm going to use the same pencil. Look at this background. If I want that shadow there, I'm just going to lay the shadow in. It kind of looks like it goes like this. And we'll lay that shadow in, and it's darker there than the pear is. So I'm going to purposely. The bad part about using a regular pencil, you can only get so dark and then you get gray and shiny, graphite instead of dark. So what I like to do a lot of times, I'll show you right here in a second. I'm not going to do this whole thing, but you can kind of see how this area is lighter and it's darker through here. I'll do this. Now, I'm going to do another video here in a minute of this image, and I'm going to use a pen to add value, but realistically, you can do this image using a pen instead of pencil, and use pencil for that one. But for time for this video, all right, so I've just laid some value in there. And let's say I did the whole thing. I'm going to take my magic stump here. It's not magic at all. You are doing the work. Be really precise when you get around that. I may have to come back and outline that some or erase some. See right there where I'm just blending it. Just blending it. All right, I'm going to go right around that. That's why I love using a stump. I can turn it. Use the point. Now I've got my, see that point? It's a little bent. I don't like it like that, but it is what it is. Part of the reason we do the background is to add a sense of atmosphere and placement and belonging, so the fruit doesn't feel like it's left out, right? It's part of it. I'm just aggravating you there. So it helps your image to look better. See how this part is darker than that? That's how you want it. So light and dark. Bob Ross once said that the way you get things to show up or to, it's a play of light and dark, making things one thing in front of another thing. And it's space, really, but it's a play of light and dark. So if you have it too dark in there, you won't have one thing in front of another thing. So like this right here needs to be darker. That's why we're doing this shading in the background too, is to add a sense of depth, perception, perspective, right? Space, ultimately. So this table has a little bit of, I'm just going to take that stuff that's on my stump, add some flavor there. Now I've got a black coloring pencil here. I want to show you guys something. You do not have to do this, but let's say that you are doing this and you want it to be even a little more, okay, let me find a black, I hope. All right, a little more. Watch what happens here when I start adding this. Black coloring pencils do not blend as easily unless you get a certain brand, of course. Barely going over that. And barely. So we could use that black coloring pencil. But do you see the pop right there in that? We're going to stop with this video. So this is how to draw the pear image. I would finish this out. Now this needs some work done on it. I'll take this stump real quick and just go right over that. Look at there. But that's how to draw the pear image and then how to add some shade using pencil. We'll come right back in a little bit with another drawing. Thank you. Look forward to seeing you soon.